Hello and welcome to Trigonometry. We are going to prove identities today. So before we start, please remember these two identities. Your squared identities, we've discussed this before, I'm just reminding you. Squared identities first, sine squared of theta plus the cosine squared of theta is equals to 1. So we are going to use this as one of the identities to prove equivalence. The second identity is our quotient identity. The tangent of theta is the same as the sine of theta divided by the cosine of theta. Right, now keeping those in mind, here's a question. Prove each of the following identities. Number one, prove that 1 minus cos squared of theta is equivalent to the sine squared of theta. Because these are prime identities, okay, the best thing to do, or what I advise you to do if you are proving sine and cosine, is just to think of your Cartesian plane and your ray as it sweeps across the plane. If this is, okay, put your y there and put your x, and if this is your theta, use the prime diagram to prove this. So cosine of theta, we know that it's adjacent over the hypotenuse side, which is the radius r, this case, okay, or the hypotenuse side. So the cosine square of theta becomes x over r all squared. So you've got 1 minus x over r all squared on the left hand side. Remember, you take the complicated side and you prove the complicated side. Right, now we've got 1 minus x squared, x over r all squared. If we square this, we get left hand side is equals to 1 minus x squared divided by r squared. Two fractions being subtracted, so let's add them. If I were to add these fractions, I'm going to write the equivalence here, r squared divided by r squared minus x squared over r squared. This gives me r squared minus x squared divided by r squared. Now this is my left hand side. Okay, you leave it there for now. Okay, so you reduced it up until there. You go to your right hand side, you change it to be y over r all squared, or the opposite divided by hypotenuse side all squared. This becomes y squared over r squared. If you go back to the previous one, remember the theorem of Pythagoras states that the sum of the squares on the opposite side are equals to the squares on the hypotenuse side. So if you subtract one of the sides, r squared minus x squared will give you a y squared. From theorem of Pythagoras, x squared plus y squared is equals to r squared. So if you wanted, let's say an x, okay, you would take the y to the other side, or if you wanted a y squared, you would take the x to the other side. Y squared is the same as r squared minus x squared. This r squared minus x squared is the same as that, which means on the left hand side you can substitute your r squared minus x squared as y squared divided by r squared. On this side you've got y squared divided by r squared. Therefore, left hand side is equivalent to your right hand side.